These are the components that I had been working with during school, particularly when I built my thesis project. This is my thesis project. So all of the lily pad platform of products were sewn directly into these belly dance costumes. These products are very cumbersome to sew, and well, they're a bit annoying to sew, and the costumes are cumbersome to wear. So Eric Boyd from Hack Lab helped me pare down these components from what you see here to this. Now we have, this is now what we call SoMo. It's a custom design board which contains all the components that you saw in the costumes, but now it also includes an accelerometer, and it's, as you can see, considerably smaller and easier to place on the body without having to sew it directly into a fitted costume. And recently, we've started working with an even smaller SoMo. And this has even more movement tracking abilities than the accelerometer. Dancers are always shifting their weight and changing the amount of pressure that they apply to their feet. I had it in my head that I would really like to explore this, and by putting pressure sensors under the toe and heel of the dancers and generating sound with that data. This is the first sensor I made for my thesis project, which tracks pressure to the heel. During my FedDev research, I explored many more materials and designs for making sensor footwear for both barefoot dancers and dancers who wear ballet slippers. This is one of my first iterations using a pressure sensor under the toe and the heel. I have earlier iterations. They were a little bit ugly to show you, but I do have them here if you want to see them later. So we went from this to this, which is the final design of the barefoot footwear. It adequately tracked pressure to the foot and was comfortable to wear for a dancer who would normally wear bare feet. This configuration allows the dancer to generate sound through the acceleration of her leg through space, as well as pressure applied to her toe and heel. So the circuit board that you just saw, the SoMo board, sits on her ankle and has the accelerometer in it. Because this is somewhat discreet, it can be worn with any dance costume for any kind of production. Meredith Jones, who is a fashion designer, helped me design this footwear. And this was the final design for the ballet slipper, which has a sole. I removed the sole that was already on the ballet slipper and replaced it with a new sole that contained the sensor for the toe and the heel. Now, the feedback I got regarding this footwear from dancers was enlightening. I thought they would really like it, but they didn't. They preferred wearing the accelerometer on their upper body and just not bothering with the foot sensors. So for Denise's performance tonight, she had the sensor on her hand because that is an area of her body that she uses a lot, and it was great for generating sound. From a commercialization point of view, this was good news for me because it released me from having to deal with the complexities of building robust sensors, pressure sensors for the feet, and designing footwear in a variety of designs and sizes. So, remember I told you that I'm a textile designer with very little experience in electronics. Well, my experience with programming is even less. So I wanted to hire somebody to create a program that allowed me to change the parameters for generating sound with relative ease. So the software went from this, me trying to write code, to this beautiful interface designed by Zev Farber. It interfaces with Mac's MSP software which allows me to connect wirelessly to SoMo, calibrate the sensors, and assign musical instruments to each of those sensors, and then assign the musical mode and key. So this, I'm going to show you a snippet from the two performances that ended the research, one by Ballet Dorgan and one by Denise from the Studio of Movement. Something different in the sound in those two performances. When we were doing the research at that point, we were working with a chromatic scale, which wasn't always very palatable to the ear. So it was shortly after that research ended that I added the patch that allows me to choose a musical mode and key. So the performance that Denise did this evening was in the key of D major in the Ionian mode. So it's a little prettier sounding than the chromatic scale. So all of my 3 dance collaborators saw potential for SoMo in music and dance education, particularly working with creative movement and improvisation. Denise and I have been working on a series of educational workshops where participants will get the chance to make magic through their exploration of movement and sound. But before we can begin running these workshops, there's still a few things we need to do. We need to improve sound quality, explore new algorithms for generating sound, and build a communication network. So feedback from the dancers during the research revealed that we needed to improve sound quality and particularly make it more sophisticated and organic. We'd also like to explore new ways of using the sensor data to generate sound. For example, going back to synchronization, synchronizing specific movements with specific sounds, but also keeping elements of randomness because this is where all the little magical surprises happen. Kyle Duffield, a faculty member at OCAD, is helping me achieve these 2 goals. And we are working on a communication network that will allow us to create a communication network between multiple SoMos so that we can have up to 10 workshop participants generating sound at the same time in the same musical mode and key. This would be like creating a music ensemble of dancers. And this will also enable us to capture movement from different parts of the body. So if we could have SoMo on the hand and on the ankle and creating sound at the same time. Aaron Lewis is another faculty member at OCAD who is helping me build this communication network. And finally, I'd like to mention that I'll be working with Ballet Dorgan again, creating a sound movement performance as well as an interactive workshop at DigiFest in May 9th and 10th. So please come, it should be a great event. So as you can see, the work continues, and hopefully within a year, we'll have, or you will be able to attend one of our workshops and experience the magic of making sound with your body. And thank you all for listening. opportunity for you to ask questions, and then you can also, once the question period is over, come and play with SoMo yourself. Yes?
I just wonder if Denise can create a famous song. I think there is a song, Happy Birthday to You.
Oh yeah?
Can she go and make the movement that we will hear the song Happy Birthday to You now?
Yes, but it has to be programmed that way. So it would be a very specific program written to make certain gestures play the notes, Happy Birthday to You.
So basically, every melody she eventually can dance and create a melody. Approximately.
Yeah, I'm not, so you're saying that she synchronized specific movements with specific notes that then she could pattern out to play Happy Birthday? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, microphone.
Have you ever thought about what an open source model would look like and how you could make this something that a group of programmers or a community could take and go in a million different directions with?
I would love for that to happen. I just haven't got around to setting that up. The software program is, it is Max MSP, which isn't free, but the patch that we're using is a combination of a few people's work. So Zeb Farber did the majority of it, but Andrew Benson used his sensor box for bringing in the data from the XPs, and then Vijay Manzo, he provided the patch that where I can assign a musical loading key. So it is, I'd like to, I just haven't created the avenues, the channels for putting it out there and letting people play with it and make it better. Yes?
Yeah, there's a long tradition in history of composers working with dance, and we talk about tone generation, we talk about scales and things. How do you see working with composers? Because, for example, like when we talked about the ensemble dance, that they could all work on the same key, why not assign different timbre to each dancer, right? And so, having a composer work with you could help set up tone and notes, for example.
Yes, yes.
How do you see a composer getting involved with that? Because I'm a composer, I would love to get involved with that.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's the first thing I was thinking.
Yeah, I would like to work with composers, and I think the musicians with an electronic music background have amazing skills in sound quality. The only thing that I'm hesitant about is that whoever that is has to really understand the dancer's point of view, because I know musicians have their own point of view and sometimes they conflict. So that's my only issue with that. But yes, it would be great. That's pretty much what we need, is somebody to help us along that way.
What I'm wondering is, how do you think, you might have said this already, but how do you think this will, in your perspective, change the future of dance and performance, and how do you want it to change?